Pego, Spain is the town where I purchased my first home for 20,000 euros, my second home for 5,000 euros, and my third home for 9,000 euros. It was the initial deal I found that brought me to this little town, but now that I've lived there for several months out of every year, I just want to take a little bit to introduce you to the town that I call home and give you an idea of what life is like in and around Pego. Hi, my name is Nicole. Welcome to my channel, Travel to Money, where I share about how to travel, adventure, and have fun on the road to financial independence, especially if that road is leading you to Spain. When I bought my first house in Pego, I actually put a deposit down and committed to buying it before ever even stepping foot in this little town. I had only been to Spain once for about 2 weeks, and it just so happened that I stayed in the town of Oliva. When I looked up the property address, I couldn't believe that I had been staying just 10 minutes from there. Out of the entire country, this house was just a short drive from where I'd already been. I liked Oliva enough, and I figured that Pego was probably pretty similar. The first time my real estate agent drove me into the town to see the house, it was raining and it was a super dreary and foggy day. It wasn't until my second time driving into town that I got to see just how beautiful this place was, with the traditional Spanish church steeple jutting out of the center of town and then mountains surrounding the town on every side. It felt like magic then, and it still feels like magic to me every time. This little town is the town for me. And some other people come to visit Pego and they love it, and others show up and the magic just isn't there for them. This is why I always say how important it is to spend time in a place. Just like every person out there isn't going to be the person for you, in the same way every city speaks to each person differently. Pego is a town of just over 10,000 residents. Population is something the people of the town are keeping in mind. Small towns like Pego were once thriving off of the agricultural industry, but that is no more in this area. Most young people are moving into the bigger cities, and towns like this one can easily die away. But the people here are looking to create an environment with easy access for tourists to visit and expats to live. While big cities like Barcelona are desperately trying to keep tourists away because of over-tourism, small towns like Pego are looking for ways to bring more tourists in. But I can see how that could be difficult. Although I love this town, it isn't like it has a million things to do. I like it for the small town life that it offers, with mountains right out my back door and the ability to walk anywhere in the town within about 15 minutes. But even though it's certainly not a party city, let me show you all the lovely little things I enjoy while I'm out and about in Pego. First, let me start by showing you the different activities you might enjoy if you want to be active and have a lot of options for exercise. Outside of the obvious exercise that you'll get from walking, the mountains right out your back door offer several trails for hiking and for cycling. I've mentioned it in a lot of my other videos, but cycling in this area of Spain is a big deal. Professionals come from all over the world to train in these mountains. I'm not a cyclist myself, but if you are, you'll love this entire area of Spain. Toward the outskirts of town, you'll also find this track and field area that is open to the public every day. When I'm in Pego, I go to this track 3 or 4 times a week to do my workouts. There are often others walking, running, playing soccer, and more. I haven't been there for a football or soccer match yet, but that's definitely on my list to do this year if they have any while I'm around. When I was on my most recent trip to Spain, my best friend came to visit and she and her boyfriend introduced me to paddleball. You guys, this is my newest addiction. I've played a bit of pickleball over the last few years and I really like it. I kept thinking paddleball was the same, but it's not. It's kind of like a cross between pickleball, tennis, and racquetball. And it's definitely one of my favorite sports I've ever played. As it turns out, in Pego, they have courts. You pay €6 per person for an hour and a half of play. I decided to get really into it, bought a paddle and everything. I thought I'd get into playing it back in the US too, but when I got home and found out it would be $75 to rent any court near me in Florida, I was like, well, I guess I'll just play this sport in Spain. Or maybe I'll buy some land and build my own paddle court, but I just can't bring myself to pay that much to play. Anyhow, if you haven't heard of paddleball yet, don't be surprised if you see it take off over the next few years. When I went to play paddleball with my friends, I learned about this whole facility that also has tennis courts and an outdoor pool that is available during the warmer months. I haven't been to it before, but I've also heard there is an indoor pool where you can go swimming nearby for just €1 per visit. If you're more of a gym person, I've definitely walked past a small gym that was loaded with fitness equipment. I think that mostly covers some of the fitness opportunities I've seen or taken advantage of, but if you're from the area and are aware of more, be sure to leave a comment. Pego, although small, is a very old town with a rich history, which shows us that the area was first settled in the Bronze Age. But the roots of the town of Pego really first began during the time of the Moors in the 700s, when they built farmhouses and began to develop agricultural systems. The town of Pego later became a walled city with 16 towers and 3 gates. Only one of those gates still stands today. There are historic buildings in the town from the 15 and 1700s. If you visit the town website, you'll find that they actually offer 1 or 2 day guided tours of the area that include riding on a bike through an orchard, taking a boat ride through the salt marsh, visiting the rice museum, and a whole lot more. I've never done this, but I'm looking forward to maybe trying it out when I'm in Spain this spring. Even though I've been around for a while, I'm sure there's still a lot more for me to learn about the area. Pego is located in the Valencian community of Spain within the Alicante province, right between the two big cities. The entire Valencian region of Spain is known for its celebrations, and Pego participates too. One of the popular festivals in Pego is the Moors and Christians Festival, which is celebrated in many cities throughout the region, where they commemorate a battle that took place in 1276. I have yet to be in Spain for this festival, but it looks fascinating. Personally, my favorite festival is Fallas, and the big celebration is up in Valencia, but even in Pego, they have a couple of large papier-mâché figurines and fireworks that they set off. But it's in more of a small-town fashion. If you're ever around for Easter, probably anywhere in Spain, you'll see quite the celebration in the streets, and Pego is no exception. I had the chance to experience it this last year, and it was really fun to see everyone out in the streets taking part. There are several other celebrations throughout the year. I always refer to the people of the Valencian region as being filled with joy. They really do love to celebrate. Now, you might be wondering if you can buy all of your groceries in Pego or if you have to travel to another nearby city. Well, Pego has several grocery stores, including Aldi, Mercadona, Economy Cash, and Massimas. I personally do most of my shopping at Mercadona each week, picking up a few specific things at Aldi. Then I like to go to a local market to buy most of my fresh fruits and vegetables, but I'll come back to the markets in a minute. Sometimes when I want a really specific item, especially if it's an international item and not a typical Spanish grocery, I'll drive to Carrefour, which is about 20 minutes away in Andorra. Carrefour is kind of like a super Walmart, but a little bit nicer. The place where this Carrefour is located is sort of a shopping central. There are large Chinese shops, a small Leroy Merlin, which is the big hardware store in Spain. There's a full shopping mall and a whole lot more. Anyhow, back to grocery shopping in town for a second. All of these grocery stores are within walking distance. If I'm doing a huge grocery haul and buying lots of water, on occasion I might take my car, but most of the time I walk for my groceries. I really hardly ever drive my car when I'm staying in town. You could definitely live in Pego without a car, but you'd have to be pretty comfortable with local life. There is a bus that runs to some of the cities that have trains, but the times are somewhat limited, so you just really have to pay attention to the schedule. Okay, let's go back and talk about the markets for a minute. If you followed me for a while, then you know how much I love going to the market. And if you haven't followed me yet, what are you waiting for? Let's go, guys. Anyhow, most towns in this area of Spain, and maybe even throughout all of Spain, will have one day of the week that is designated for the market. In Pego, that day is Thursday, and it really pains me to say it, but for me, the Pego market usually isn't worth going to. So if you're wondering what one of these markets is, this is where anyone can be a vendor and set up a booth and sell things. So you'll have everything from antique items to knockoff clothing to fruits and vegetables, maybe an olive stand. who knows what? That's part of the fun. It's kind of like a treasure hunt. For me, my favorite things to get at the markets are fresh fruits and vegetables, like I mentioned before, and I love to shop for vintage clothing items. I probably own like 30 to 50 vintage sports shirts from Nike, Adidas, Puma, and more. But the market that is held in Pego doesn't usually have booths from vendors who sell things like this. Years ago, there were two booths that I would always go to, but those vendors aren't really around anymore. And it's mostly brand new knockoff clothing, some folks selling some plants, and a few other things here and there. It really just doesn't compare to the other markets that I've enjoyed going to. Now, that's not to say that you shouldn't go. I do enjoy walking around if I think about it, or grabbing a coffee at one of the shops on the path of the market. It's just fun to be out in the buzz of the little town. But my two favorite nearby markets to Pego are in Elverhale, which is about a 15-minute drive, or Holon, which is about a 30-minute drive. The one in Elverhale is not very fancy at all, but I've found killer deals, and that's my favorite for buying fresh fruits and vegetables. I love when I can go with friends, hunt for great finds for a few hours, stopping for a cup of coffee or a curry, and just enjoying a Sunday morning. The one I just mentioned is every Sunday, usually from about 8 a.m. to around 1 p.m. This is especially fun if the weather is nice. In the summer, I try to get out early before the heat. The market in Holon is on Saturdays, and that one tends to be a bit fancier and usually a tad more expensive. Rather than sorting through junk for treasure, you're more likely to have vendors who know they have treasures and have set them all out nicely on display for you. I have definitely found fun things at this market, but this one I actually enjoy more just for the ambiance and a lovely Saturday morning stroll. The market is along the riverbed, which is also lined with lovely coffee shops and restaurants. If you want to learn more about Holon specifically, I have a video about that town too. I'll leave a link to that in the description. Okay, so enough about the local markets. Let's get back to Pego. You might be wondering what kind of restaurants you have in the town. The good news is that there are plenty. You have everything from local Spanish food, kebab shops, pizza shops, Indian, Chinese, French, and more. Let me tell you about some of my favorites. Now, I feel kind of bad because I haven't eaten at every restaurant in Pego, so there are probably some other restaurants that deserve to be on this list too. If you have been to Pego and know of some great places that I haven't mentioned, definitely let us know in the comments. Okay, probably coming in at number one for me is Buddha Eyes Tandoori, which serves cuisine from India and Nepal. Indian food seems to be really popular amongst the British, and most of the time when I go there, the restaurant is full of people from the UK. But honestly, it's some of the best Indian cuisine I've had in my life. I'd personally recommend the mango chicken, or if you're vegetarian, the dal makhani. Recently, I started eating frequently at the Chinese food restaurant as well. The name in Google Maps is literally Chinese restaurant. I've had several dishes there and they are all fantastic, and it's all very affordable too. Two of my favorite places to go for coffee are Casino Bar and Karina's Cafe. Casino Bar specifically sells a large coffee like what you might get in America, so sometimes it's nice to have that thing that reminds you of home. Casino Bar also has some excellent meals. I haven't quite figured out the meal times there, but if you catch their menu of the day, it can really be quite good. A couple of years ago, I had a 4-course meal there for like 12 euro. It was amazing. I also can't forget to mention my friend Ivan at La Placeta. When I first moved to Pego, I was looking for a coffee place where I could work for a bit and found this little shop. At the time, it was tiny, and the owner, Ivan, was so kind to me. He serves pizzas, burgers, coffee, beer. Every time I would go there, he just knew how to make his customers feel known and acknowledged, and his food was really good too. During COVID, he remodeled, and he has a stunning, even larger place now with a beautiful outdoor patio. If you stop by Pego, please go by and support his business. I've only just touched on some of the places to eat and drink. I sometimes get in the habit of only going back to the places I know and have enjoyed rather than trying new places, but there are plenty of bars and restaurants to enjoy in Pego. Now, if you're in Pego for a while, you may want to get out of the town for a nice day of adventure or a beautiful evening somewhere. Let me introduce you to some of my favorite mini trips from Pego. First is Denia. This is one of the closer, more touristy cities. I've done a whole video on Denia that you can check out, but it's an easy drive from Pego for a nice stroll through the old town, maybe even a walk through the tunnel under the castle, or a walk along the marina. And there are lots of great restaurants to choose from. Another great option is a drive to Javea, which is about a 35-minute drive from Pego. This could be a great day trip if you want to explore both the old town and the beach area. But for me, I usually go for a great paella dinner at Posit, which sits right along the water. It's the perfect place for a lovely stroll along the seaside after dinner, and honestly, there are probably a million restaurant options to choose from. This is again me going back to experience the same thing over and over. Now, two other day trips I really like to make that are just a little bit further are to Altea or Alicante. Altea is one of my favorite little cities in Spain, with a beautiful city center that overlooks the water from up high, and just next to it there is one of my favorite hiking locations, which is just a lovely paved walk that goes out to a lighthouse. Just like some of the other cities I've mentioned, I have a video about Altea too if you want more info on that area specifically. I don't have a favorite restaurant, but I've had amazing dishes at several spots in that area. The beach here is also fantastic, so if you're here, stop and enjoy the sun and the sand. Now, Alicante is almost an hour away, but it's become one of my favorite places to visit when I have friends in town. A day trip here is great to see the castle, walk along the Paseo, explore some of the other historic sites, or you can even take a catamaran trip out to an island for the day. My favorite restaurant here is a little outside of the city center, but I make a special trip to go to Baobab, which is an incredible vegetarian restaurant. The last place I want to mention for a day trip from Pego is, of course, the city of Valencia, my initial introduction to Spain. There is so much to see here, and you probably can't do it all in one day, but you can cover a lot. My favorite thing to do is park near the Arts and Science Center and then walk up the riverbed garden a few miles up into the city center. Another option, maybe if you want to visit on a second day, would be visiting the boardwalk area along the water for a long stroll and some great restaurant options. Honestly, there are so many places within an hour or less of Pego. I could spend an hour talking about all the places you can go, but I just want you to know that even though it's a small town, there really is a lot right at your fingertips if you have a car with you. For me, Pego is perfect. Whether I'm driving into town for the first time after being away for months, or I'm driving home from one of these day trips I just mentioned, when I turn the corner and I see that steeple, I just take it in every time. Now, I'm sure to have missed something that you wanted to know. Any questions you have or other thoughts or recommendations, let's chat about it in the comments. Do me a huge favor, like this video and subscribe to join me every day, where travel and adventure build financial freedom. I can't wait to see where your dreams will take you.